So now we are on chapter 7, maintaining lifelong faith. So before moving to chapter 7, let's quickly summarize chapter 6. In chapter 6, we learned how present action shape past, present and future. The key word here is past. So whatever action we are doing in present, we it shapes our past also. And how does it do that? We discussed that in chapter 6. We realize the importance of living each moment as the last moment and how strengthening faith daily ensures eternal victory. Now, in chapter 7, we deepen this by explaining how to maintain faith for a lifetime. Now, lifelong connection with Lotus Sutra. So, Nichiren Daishonin says, my followers are now able to accept and uphold the Lotus Sutra because of the strong ties they formed with it in their past existences. They are certain to obtain the fruit of Buddhahood in the future. So it's not a coincidence that we have encountered this practice in this lifetime. And the reason we are upholding the Lotus Sutra today is because of the deep past life ties. So present essentially means we are able to accept and uphold the Lotus Sutra. Past essentially strong ties they formed within their past existences. Future to obtain the fruit of Buddhahood in the future. So if I summarize what Nichiren Daishonin is saying here is Nichiren Daishonin quote is my followers are now able to accept and uphold the Lotus Sutra that is in present. They are able to uphold because of the strong ties they formed with it in their past existences. So that is talking about the past connection, and they are certain to obtain the fruit of Buddhahood in the future. So that is how the we are connected with the law, right? So the connection with Lotus Sutra is lifelong, and this lifelong doesn't mean this life; it means from the remote past. Also, when we embrace and continue with faith in current lifetime, when we maintain lifelong faith in Lotus Sutra, then we are certain to move to a realm of Buddhahood in this lifetime itself. And we will continue in the realm of Buddhahood in the future as well. Future means afterlife. Once we merge with the universe, we will merge in the Buddha realm only. And Buddha realm in future, that is what it means. And we will continue to born again and again in the Buddha realm and help other people to come out of delusional world. That is the meaning of lifelong connection with Lotus Sutra. Now, present, past, just a minute, link lifelong connection, changing the past. Right. Now we all certainly understand how the present impacts the future. That is something we all we all are able to understand in a very simplified manner, right? That present impact future, right? That makes sense. That makes chronological sense also. However, present impacting past, that is something which is difficult to fathom, right? um, it sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now changing past can be seen from two perspectives. One is that past is contained in present. Whomsoever we are today, we are because of what shaped us in the past, isn't it? And when I change present, when I move from delusion to awaken, then I am casting away from my past, and I am changing. So basically I am changing my tendencies, I am changing my habits, I am changing my way of living the life to a new awakened way. When I'm doing so, that means I am discarding the past, and that's how I am changing the past, and that's how I'm making sure the past gets ended and it will not repeat. Like people say, right, history repeat itself. It is indeed, if we don't learn from it. If we continue on same path, if we continue to make the same mistakes, then definitely history going to repeat. However, when we say that the present action impact both past and future, and that's how it impacts the past, because we don't let the past again and again repeat in our day-to-day life. That is what it means. Okay. And also yeah, so we have basically broken the trend. You have been awakened to the Buddhahood and moved from delusion realm to the Buddha realm, right? And that's how you have ended impacted the past as well. So when you chant and continue lifelong faith, you move to Buddha realm and change the past for yourself and your past generation as well. So it's not a coincidence that you are born in a certain condition and certain family. So your karma is connected with your past generation as well. However, when you move to a Buddha realm, you are impacting that past and you are making sure that past is also getting changed, right? The cycle of birth and death will still continue. It's not like that we will move away from the cycle of birth and death, but not in a delusional realm, but in a Buddha realm. our actual life state, which got dormant, got delusion, it is now coming up, and it is now becoming our dominant life state, right? So that's the reason the presence is very very important. So this is a present. When we with faith we chant in present and truly understand the working of cause and effect, then the causes in present impacts both past and future. We can transform any negative karma from past when we put actions in present, and assure immense um, good fortune in both present, past and future, no matter how difficult the present is. But it can be transformed when we chant with faith. The next topic is strengthening faith daily. So Daishonin says, strengthen your faith day by day and month after month. Should you slacken in your resolve even a bit, devils will take advantage, right? And the another quote from Gosho is, if one dyes something repeatedly in indigo, it becomes even bluer than indigo itself. That basically means through our efforts in faith each day, our lives are increasingly imbued with Myoho Renge Kyo. So we should not even slacken a bit in the faith. As soon as we slacken even a bit, the devilish function will take over. And just like blue is deeper than indigo, we should make sure that when the same cloth is dipped in the indigo water again and again, it becomes more bluer than the indigo itself. That is the analogy, that is allegory Nichiren Daishonin has given, right? Now, the next important part, if we really want to continue on this lifelong faith, is to deepen our prayer. So, what basically deepening faith basically means deepening prayers. If our faith is deepened, that will reflect in what kind of prayers we are doing. Our prayers are a reflection of our life state. As we continue in our Buddhist practice, our prayers will evolve and our conviction will deepen. So many times when people start practicing, the kind of prayer they do and the kind of prayer they do after maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years is totally different. Why? Because over the period of time the faith has developed. So it's, think of it like a your barometer of how deepened your faith is. It will reflect in the kind of prayers you are doing, right? And it will evolve from a fear based to a conviction based, and it will also evolve based on your faith and your study, and that will ultimately strengthen your inner resolve. Now, just to look to the example from the point of view of Nichiren Daishonin's life itself, if we look at the Nichiren Daishonin through his life, he has demonstrated to maintain steadfast faith amid so many hardships and persecutions. If we look at the life of Nichiren Daishonin himself, he has really showcased how to maintain lifelong faith amidst so many persecutions and exiles, right? Even when he was in exile in Sado, he was determined to never abandon his vow, declaring, I will be the pillar of Japan, I will be the eyes of Japan, I will be the great ship of Japan. This is my vow, and I will never forsake it. So he has really shown absolute commitment to lifelong faith and demonstrated the spirit of never abandoning one's vow. So if we look at Nichiren's life from the age of 12, when he went out of the house to go to the Sejoji temple, or from the age of 16 when he started wandering from one city to another to understand the real learnings or real teachings of Gautam Buddha and other schools as well, till from the at the age of 32 when he invoked Namyo Rengekyo for the first time, till the time he died at the age of 60, the entire life, if we see, he never begrudged his life at all. He showed what it basically means to never slacken in a faith even a bit, and how to continue to strengthen the faith even when facing so many persecution and exile. So he has showed absolute commitment to lifelong faith. That is kind of a faith we need to cultivate, and the way to cultivate that faith is basically when we follow the Nichiren Daishonin's path, when we not let the devilish function take over us, when we understand the concept of blue deeper than indigo, and also we truly understand what kind of prayers we are doing, right? That will also help us in really understanding what kind of faith I have. Now, as we discussed in chapter first, right, that accepting of faith is one thing and continuing is another. You can really get into the rhythm of universe Namyo Rengekyo through faith and only faith. However, to continue on that path, lifelong path, it is can only be done when we are into a mentor disciple relationship and following many in body, one in mind, right? A slackening or wavering in our resolve or faith triggers our fundamental darkness. As soon as that happens, right, our negativity. Only when we practice based on mentor and disciple relationship and many in body, one in mind, we will be able to continue in the faith. Persevering in the two of practice and study in the SGI, the organization advancing Kosun Rufu in exact accord with Daishonin teachings, continually functions to deepen our faith towards attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. And the best way to practice Buddhism, Nichiren Buddhism, the key secret sauce of practicing Nichiren Buddhism is following mentor disciple relationship and many in body, one in mind. So that is something which has been quintessentially done by SGI. When we are in the orbit of SGI, when we continue to take responsibility in attend meetings, by design, we are following mentor disciple relationship. We are in the format of man in body, one in mind, and we are strengthening our faith day by day. So that is the best and easiest way to continue to uphold and continue to make our faith stronger day by day, right? And why is it so? Because if you look at the SGI has ultimately three pillars, three goals based on which it is making all of us continue lifelong faith. First is self-realization. So it is something highly democratic way of making sure that everyone getting self-awakened, self-realized that they are Buddha themselves. And then ultimately social contribution, because we just don't practice for oneself, we practice for others, and we heavily focus on actual proof, victory in life. So when we truly awaken to our Buddhahood, and when we make other people get awakened to their Buddhahood and show actual proof in our life, then we are by design in the orbit of lifelong faith, right? Now, there is a saying, faith manifests itself in daily life, right? So faith is something that should continue to strengthen day by day. Faith is also something which is part of my life itself. It's not something, it's 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening when I'm chanting. It's not a faith, or faith is not when I'm just attending the meetings. Faith is something which has to be manifested when I am stepping out of the meeting. Faith is something which is manifesting when I am completing the chanting, right? Faith is something which is part of my life itself, and faith manifests itself in daily life, isn't it? So what does it mean when we say it is manifesting in our daily life? It means that whatever you are doing in life, wherever you are, you need to manifest faith there and there itself. You may be a student or a professional parent. The faith needs to help you to sail through the day, and sail through the day-to-day challenges, and achieve victory in your daily life. That is the meaning of faith in daily life, right? Now going forward, sensei talks about the four Indian stages of life. So it is talking about the social structure, or in the Indian setting, how in the Indian tradition the life is compartmentalized into four periods. The periods based on the work or action we need to do at particular stage of our life. These four periods are called ashram. Now, four stages, path of developing themselves. So this is kind of a structure which has been there in the Indian tradition to develop oneself. Also to make sure we are assuming social and family responsibility, focusing on religious practice, and ultimately renunciation. So in a very structured and progressive way, that is how the Indian structure is. And what that structure is, first phase or first ashram is brahmachari or student. That is a period of studying under a teacher to become an educated and well-rounded individual. The second stage is grahast or household, where we take responsibility in social and family life. The third one is vanprasth or retire. So detaching oneself from the pursuit of worldly wealth and status, and now you start focusing more and more on religious practice. And the fourth one is sannyas, renunciation. So the point when you discard all the attachments and embark on a journey towards spiritual enlightenment and emancipation from the sufferings of birth and death. So each stage requires to apply faith appropriately. So in the beginning stage, you are ought to study and build yourself. In the grahist, you are ought to take the social responsibility and fulfill them. And as you start fulfilling them almost like 60-70%, then you start migrating towards the religious side. And once you complete your all the duties, then you completely surrender towards the renunciation. That is what the four Indian stages of life is, right? Now what Sense is trying to convey here is that in SGI also, the SGI divisions is also structured in such a manner so that we can also have a lifelong practice. How is it so? The first division the Sensei talks about is youth and future division. So this is a division from one's teen onward, right? Time for awakening to a purpose in life and polishing oneself. This is a time of self-discovery and training. In fact, Sensei Ikeda himself joined at the age of 19 and built the foundation for the entire life during this period of youth when he struggled alongside his mentor Josai Toda. The second division is men and women division. This encompasses the period up to retirement. So period of implementation and actual proof. So you this is a period when you fully demonstrate the true power of faith. Time to show actual proof in daily life. whether it's at work, it's personal, or society at large. And that is also the time when you thoroughly fulfill one's personal mission and social responsibility. The third division is many treasures group, the elders. So elders in the realm of faith, the period of maturity and joy, post retirement period, right? So there is a retirement period from the society point of view. However, there is no retirement age in faith. In fact, this is the time for making one's life shine even more brilliantly with the light of faith, and aiming for ultimate game of attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. President Toda said, the final part of your life is important. If the last year of your life are happy, then you have won. So it's not like the retirement. It's not, there is no retirement in faith. In fact, the last few years of our life are very critical. So generally we say in daily life also that the person may have been rich throughout the life, but if the person has died in a miserable condition, everyone remember the person from the last few years of the life, right? So maybe a person was in misery throughout the life, however in the last few years the person has achieved a lot of social success, so people remember that social success. It is the last interaction, the last few years becomes very critical. So like I said, there is no retirement age in faith. In fact, that is a time when in treasures group when we need to shine the brilliantly the most. So just like there are four Indian stages of life where the progressively you move, similarly to maintain the lifelong faith, the SGI division also has a compartmentalized in such a manner, right? Now, just to carry on for the final years of life, what President Toda said, that final years decide victory. The final years are very important. Remember, we also talked about the last moment of life determines whether we are going into which realm of universe, right? From that point of, and like we said, we cannot fake the last moment of our life. In that last moment, whatever our true nature is, it will show up eventually, right? So it is something we cannot fake. So that's the reason the last final years of life when we have to truly dedicate to attain Buddhahood in this time life, and that is the final stage. We have to be have a very joyful one, has to won that stage, and that's the reason it becomes for the one personal point of view. However, from the point of view of elders, because they play a very critical role in inspiring the young generation, and because you are practicing for a long time, you have seen a lot of life. Now your faith by design becomes deepens even further with maturity. So the last topic here is the treasure tower within. So in record of orally transmitted teaching, it is said the treasure tower has four sides, right? The four sides of the treasure tower stands for birth, aging, sickness, and death. So when we manifest Buddhahood in our life, the treasure tower wells forth within us and adorn the four sides of us, our birth, aging, sickness, and death, with jewels and sweet, beautiful fragrances. So, essentially, the sufferings of birth, aging, sickness, and death get converted to the joy when we awaken our Buddhahood. This awareness that we have Buddhahood within, we have treasure tower within, is key in regarding birth, aging, sickness, and death as a fragrance that adorns the treasure tower of our lives, and to forever enjoy great life force and immense fortune and benefit, imbued with the four virtues of eternity, happiness, true self, and purity. We will talk about these four virtues of eternity, happiness, true self, and purity more in the coming chapters. However, the idea is that when we continue a lifelong faith, the sufferings of birth, aging, sickness, and death converts into the happiness, eternity, true self, and purity. With this, we have come to the end of chapter 7. The keywords we have used in this chapter is lifelong faith. That is the key message of the chapter 7. Past, present, and future connection, how present creates the future, and it also creates and modify the past as well. We talked about how to maintain lifelong faith. We should have a faith which is growing every day, just like blue deeper than indigo. That can only be done when we are following the path of mentor disciple relationship, and when in body, one in mind. And that the best way to do that is by practicing in the Sukha Gakkai realm. Why is it so? Because just like in Indian ashram, we have four compartmentalized way, starting from the brahmachari, then grahas, then vanprasth, and then the last one is sannyas. On the same line, the SJ divisions are also structured in a manner so that we have a progressive faith from the time we start. It also talks about the concept of treasure tower. The treasure tower, first of all, is within us, and the treasure tower in the Lotus Sutra talks about a treasure tower which is full of beautiful fragrance and jewels. And treasure tower has four sides. So those four sides essentially signifies birth, aging, sickness, and death. And it is a symbolic way to say that when the treasure tower wells forth within us, the sufferings of birth, age, sickness, and death gets converted into four virtues of eternity, happiness, true self, and purity. And when we continue to have that four virtues, then we are bound to get into the Buddha realm. That's it from my side for chapter 7. There are few short questions. I would request you to take a pause here and try to answer it on your own. And there are few more questions here which you can pause and ponder over it. And don't forget to go through the mandated material, go through the other lectures as well. And all the very best for the coming exam. Thank you so much.